and Young Entrepreneur of the Year, Canada runner-up, Cultural Diversity Champion in the Waterloo region, Mayor's Award, Queen Elizabeth II, so many awards. So basically, what I see is overall profile. You're everywhere. The only two things I don't see you is cricket and probably Bollywood.
No, I'm a cricketer too. I used to open the games and also I'm a
Okay.
spinner,
Okay.
but I'm not really good at it.
Okay.
Especially now, in the golf games,
Okay.
people, when they want to feel like they are winners, call
Right.
Prakash because they
Right.
know they can win me.
Right. Right.
So I make other people happy. And
Right.
yes, I do know how to play, but I'm not good at it, not
Right.
great at it.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Okay. I'm just quickly checking if we are live on the Facebook side or not. Just give me a second. I'm just quickly checking. Just give me a sec. Do you see on your Facebook? Are we seeing live over there? Because it shows me live.
Yeah, I put it on mute, so I didn't want this to be
Okay.
distracted.
Okay. I think we are live. Yeah. I can see that. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. So it was a refresh thing, so I just want to make sure we are live there too. Okay, good.
Sure.
So the way we're gonna do this is, I just wanted to cover a couple of topics. Uh, we're gonna start with something to do with what is relevant today, which is the pandemic. We'll talk about vaccination. Another thing I want to talk about is the impact of social media, right? So a lot of things are happening on social media, free speech. We're going to talk about national and provincial leadership during the pandemic and before the pandemic, and probably we'll end our conversation with some of the municipal bylaws, what we are seeing. So the first question I have is, if you're ready,
I'm
is
always ready. Shoot me with
okay, good.
anything.
Okay, good. So how has pandemic impacted your life, and how have you been able to adapt and adjust to the new way of life?
Okay, that's a great question. First of all, before I answer to that question, I take this opportunity to send my sincere condolences to all the families who have lost their loved ones because of this COVID. I'm sorry, uh, but everybody is doing whatever to the best to make sure more lives are saved. So, with that, and COVID is real. It is no joke. It is real,
That's true.
and everybody has a different name for it. Like whether you can call it like a flu, whether you can call it uh, whatever name like you want to call it. But what we know, the side effects are real. It is affecting people, and something needs to be done, and it is happening as we speak. So, how am I handling this? The challenge is not a new thing in my life. There were so many occasions I mentioned in the past, like I had a death experiences in my life. So challenges are everyday thing. No human is without a challenge. If somebody says like, I have no challenge, they are lying. Everybody has some sort of challenge.
That's true.
How we are going to adapt to that, that is the key, right? So this is not something what we have done personally to repent about. Something is happening to us, how we are reacting to it, how we are preparing ourselves, how we are adapting ourselves. So all these things are extremely key. Now, like coming to my personal life, pandemic has helped me to understand the family. I used to work 18-hour days, even 20-hour days. I sleep only 4 hours for the last 25 years. Okay, even today, my sleep pattern is only 4 hours between 2 and 6. Anybody calls me before 2 or after 6, like I'm always available. Why
Okay.
am I saying that? With that, I didn't really pay much attention to my family or kids, and they're there. I'm available for them. But pandemic has really given me an opportunity to open my eyes. What is real? Family is real. Your close friends are real. Your true friends are real. So to have a real appreciation, to spend more time with them. Life is short, and this has given me an opportunity to focus on my passion, to do more practice on the music, to do more cooking, to travel alone in my bike. Like, I'm a passionate biker for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
So to do go to places like, just on the road without affecting anybody with full protocol, like just ride through the
Hmm.
country roads. This kind of stuff, like a real appreciation for people, real appreciation for nature, real appreciation for acceptance, stuff like which is beyond our control.
Hmm.
Certain things in our control, like we can do whatever we can, but certain things it's not in our control. So
Right. Right.
acceptance is the first step. So that's what I have done, and I'm following all the protocols, whatever is mentioned by the public health. I'm not here to debate whether COVID is real or not, whether flu is real or not, whether the vaccine is real or not. I'm here, to go with the flow. Whatever is expected of me, I will do it. I will expect my friends and family to do it. So
Okay.
with that acceptance mode, I have more gratitude. I'm still alive. I can still do what I want to do, and leaving up to the professionals to take care of us.
Mm.
They
Yeah,
are
I think
there.
we
They
just
are
have to
paid to
follow
do
the
it.
basic
They are
common.
educated to do it, and they have to do it. So I trust them to do what they have to.
So basically, we all have to follow the best advice possible. Use common sense, right?
Yeah, true. Very true. Very
Right.
true.
Okay. So coming to my next second question is, what is the worst outcome of this pandemic, and the positives? Of course, we know a lot of people have died in the world, and the mortality rate is totally different depending upon which country you talk about. What statistically what I've seen is, in developing countries the mortality rate is lower compared to the developed countries. So I think that is one area we could have done better. But other than the death, what other things you think people are impacted overall, and what are the positive things that we are seeing after this, during this pandemic, and in terms of technology and other aspects?
Okay. In everything, there is a plus and minus, right? Even in day to day, and we know there is a sun, there is a moon, there is a morning, there is a night.
Right.
So there are certain things like you are allowed to do in night. There are certain things you are allowed to do in day. So when you are up or down, always remain like grounded, which is help you to achieve like whatever you want to do. So here during pandemic, the worst thing what I see, many small entrepreneurs, small business owners lost their job, lost their company, lost their passion. lost anything and everything what they thought like they could do. They have lost it all. Okay, that is the worst thing. And also like the people who are losing their loved ones because of this pandemic, that is the worst thing. Okay, and the people who lost their job, and like you have a lifestyle and you have certain commitments on the mortgages and insurance and anything and everything. I have a great appreciation for anything and everything like what federal government has done and the continue to do. But that $2,000 is not like a sufficient. Like when you have a lifestyle, when your mortgage is $3,000 or
Correct.
$2,500 based on your paycheck, all of a sudden like you don't have a job, you have only $2,000. And yes, like because Prime Minister said and the federal government said, the banks have accepted to give some sort of deferral for 6 months. But right after that, like everybody started charging the interest and all those kind of stuff. Like
Correct.
still things have not changed.
Right.
So the continuation aspect of it, like those are all the worst thing, like what is happening. The people suffering. That is the worst thing, like what has happened.
Yeah. No, of course,
The
small.
best thing, yeah, sorry. So the best thing, what I see is like the appreciation for humanity, the appreciation for fellow human beings, the kindness, and all those kind of stuff has increased dramatically. People started worrying about it's not just my mortgage, my insurance, my family. Rather, like, okay, what are they doing in the food bank? How are they surviving? What we can do to help others if we are blessed with a little bit more than what we need at this point. So I sincerely think like the middle level or like whatever you call it, like 90% of the people are average, and the community, that average community, started appreciating the fellow human beings. It's not just me anymore.
Mhm.
I need to make sure, like just say it's no longer like a good morning to your neighbor. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, are you okay? Do
Yeah.
you have anything and everything? Do you
Yeah.
have enough food to take care of yourself and family for the next couple of weeks? These kind of questions, I'm seeing that on the ground, which was not there before. So those things are very positive, and what I see. So it is a good thing in the long term, which is a good thing.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So I think we covered the pandemic part. Your experience. What who else is going through this challenging, especially the small businesses.
Yeah,
Yeah, and of course, in any country, majority of the businesses are small business. Big companies, they have cash flows. They have reserves. They can survive some or the other way, but small business is always a challenge, right? So
very,
yeah.
very, very true, Money. Like I started my company originally in my bedroom. Okay, it took a while to graduate to garage. Many entrepreneurs say, like, I started my company in my garage. Like, I was not
Right.
even blessed to start in my garage because it was a single car garage. It was full. So I started in my bedroom. So I have the complete understanding what entrepreneur like goes through. End of the month, whether they have money to pay their mortgage or not, they always make sure their employees get paid. Okay, even today, whether it is a provincial government or federal government, I have all appreciation for anything and everything they do. However, when you pay only for the utilities, when you pay only for the property tax related, when you pay only for the overheads is only 15 to 20% of overall income, right? So that overhead is not sufficient to pay the employees. That overhead is not sufficient to pay the owner for their own survival. Yes, it is going to make sure like they still have a place once the pandemic is over because they're paying the utilities, they're paying the property tax, they're paying like whatever is needed to keep their name board there. But the actual operation, that is not sufficient. 15% is not sufficient to make the small business survive through this. That is why today over 20,000 business shut down. When you
Yeah.
talk about the restaurant alone, over 20,000 shut down. It's not like government didn't do anything or like that. Like they are doing whatever they can, but that is not sufficient enough. So
Yeah.
uh, that is the point.
I think I'll come to on this topic. I'll come back probably a little later when we talk about what the governments at different levels have done for. for people and business. I'll bring one topic, and that one topic is about um, how the government has given the money to the business. I think in the initial phases, most of the businesses are basically tenants. They are not like the actual property owners. So how the flow of
Yeah.
money happens? So the government started giving money to the landlords instead of giving to tenants. So I think there were a lot of confusion, and that got delayed, right? The flow of money. So I'll talk about that a little later.
Sure. Sure.
Uh, so we talked about the pandemic, and we talked about what people are going through high level. One thing I want to talk about is the vaccination. So the question I have is, how confident are you with approved vaccination and its effectiveness?
You know, it's a flu.
Mhm,
You can name it whatever you want, whether it
mhm,
is COVID or Novid or whatever you want to call it. Like it's a flu. When there is a flu, there is a need for vaccination.
mhm,
And the vaccination, what they have done right now, like I'm very confident. And obviously, one dose is not good enough. What we are hearing from the health professionals, you need to administer like the first dose and also the second dose to make sure, like you are protected. And I'm looking at some of the senior homes, and then like the media talks about like, okay, the entire senior homes got like the vaccination, and then today like we are seeing like a 7 people got like a COVID positive. It's not a surprise. Like you need to have like both doses like administered to call yourself like protected. And after getting the first, you need to wait like 9 months to get a baby. You cannot say like, okay, where is my baby in the third month or fourth month? So
right.
that's what like happening. Like just because like the first dose is administered, you cannot consider yourself like a completely safe and walk around without a mask and without protocols, without social distancing and all those kind of stuff. Why those health parameters are there is only to protect you.
Mhm,
Like why they are saying wash your hands, why they are saying like wear your mask. Everything is a healthy hygienic thing, so that like it is protecting you and also others around you. So to answer your question, do I believe in vaccination? Yes, I am. Like I believe 100% of what needs to happen. And obviously, the side effects, what they are talking about, is like if you have some penicillin allergy, and a certain vaccination is not helping you and giving you some side effects. So we need to understand, like what are they saying? Like, okay, you need to tell your doctor what are you allergic to, and then the doctor needs to decide whether Pfizer is good for you or Moderna is good for you or what is good for you based on the side effects like recommended by the manufacturer. So considering all those kind of stuff, like yes, I believe in vaccination. I believe like it is going to take care, uh, but I'm not happy with the way like how we are achieving the execution aspect of it. So if you have anything to talk about that, like I have more to add to it.
sure. Like for me, well, one concern is one which is a major concern is the way we approve this vaccination. So we have Health Canada here, and US has its own, India has its own. I don't know how they approve it. They are approving based on the data provided by the pharma company, or they do have representative working along with this pharma company to validate whatever they are doing in terms of testing and validation, if that is accurate or not. So I don't know. I'm thinking the way they are approving right now, like, okay, the moment Pfizer applied for the emergency, approval, all of a sudden, the health ministry is starting approving it. So I don't know.
No, the thing
Usually,
is,
you expect Health Canada to do their own practical verification and those things, but I think probably it's the time factor. But this time, I think we are relying on pharma company, and we are assuming that they won't screw up. Otherwise, the stock price will come down.
I am not sure, like Health Canada or the health professionals will take that risk. They are not business people.
Yeah.
Okay, they are not worrying about the stock. They are not worrying about whether the company is doing fine or not, because they have the onerous responsibility to protect the citizens. They have the onerous responsibility when they say like it is approved and they take that responsibility, it comes with it. And that is why we are paying six digits salary to all the health professionals and
Yeah.
also the people who are taking decision for us. Okay.
Yeah.
So we cannot be expert in every field. And that is why like we have people who are experts and getting paid from our tax money to take decisions on our behalf.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say like they have taken a decision based on Pfizer, whatever the data they have given.
Mm.
Like if the whole world is approving Pfizer, I wouldn't question just only Canada. Like how come like you approve? And there are some protocols, and I strongly believe like they follow. And it is not a political thing. It has to do with the life of the citizens. So I strongly believe that they follow all the protocols to make sure.
Yeah.
Because right now, if you really look at it, okay, only 2% of Canadians got vaccinated so far,
Yeah.
and we have 725,000 administered as of today for the first dose, and around 80,000 administered for the second dose. Okay, so that is only 2% of the overall population. We got only 1 million doses supplied by the manufacturers so far. So 70% of the supply what we have received has been administered. So I do not see any problem in execution aspect of it. I still see problem in procuring the quantity like what we need. If you really look at the statistics, Canada was are still like a number one in securing uh, per capita basis, like how many vaccinations like we need for the first and the second dose. Yes, like we have placed the order, but we are not getting the deliveries. When you don't get the deliveries, how the provincial government can administer that to execute it? So the problem is the order has been placed and we have more vaccination per capita. We are ranking number one in that in the world. Those are great things. Just because you placed an order, that doesn't mean like your COVID is gone. You still need the supply. You still need to administer. So I do not see any problem in getting administered. After all, we have only 38 million people. Okay, we are really blessed. We are not talking about like 1.2 billion people like in India. Okay, so here only 38 million people, and we already have placed the order per capita basis more. So I don't have a problem. I have a problem with the timing of receipt of those vaccination so that it could be administered properly for every citizen in Canada. I'm worried about that because right now they're talking about there's the March and then September. If you're talking about September first, the first dose, and then you still have to do the second dose. So by the time you get the first dose and the second dose, I do not see everybody getting vaccinated before end of the year. So it is going to continue for 2022. That's where I have a problem. It
Yeah.
started back in January, and 1 year later, we are talking about one more year. We do not have enough breath for the small business people to survive for another 1 year to start or open their business.
Right.
2 years shutting everything down is too much.
The other thing what I'm hearing is there are a lot of people thinking, just by taking the first shot, you have some sort of, you're okay and COVID won't come back. But what I'm reading is in terms of the Pfizer vaccination, after you get your first dose, it takes at least 12 days for the antibodies to generate and prevent COVID. A lot of people don't realize, you have to, after getting vaccination, you're still vulnerable, right?
Yes, yes. You are
Um,
you are as clearly mentioned in every document like I have seen, you need to have both doses. Like so that is very very important. So just by getting the first dose alone, and if you think like you are immune, you are not.
yeah.
So you still have to follow all the protocols just because you got the first dose. I'm not a medical expert, but I'm just relying on what I'm hearing from the medical expert. So the one dose alone is not going to fix it. You need to get both doses.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So my next question is, okay, assuming that everybody gets vaccinated, 60% population. How long will it take before things go back to normal, pre-COVID level?
You know,
Assuming in a
in
perfect
my,
world.
I I hate to say what I think, but the reality, it's going to take at least another 2 or 3 years.
Hmm.
Okay, because here the government issued document shows we are still talking about the first dose goes to September. Okay, and then you have to get the second dose for everybody, and then like everything to come to normalcy. Unfortunately, in my point of view, 2021 is another survival year,
Hmm.
and we just need to make sure like we survive this year carefully, following the protocol, and make it through. So the next 12 months, I do not see uh, any back to normal.
Yeah.
We are not allowed to go for spring break. Like if somebody is planning to go to somewhere, even if you are a politician, stay home,
No, no,
preach
they
what
are
you do.
allowed to go. We are not allowed to go. Rule makers can be rule breakers, right? Some of the
Yeah,
exceptions applies, but you don't tell anyone. You go to wherever you want to go. Don't tell. You can do social media from there. You can change the virtual background saying you are still in Canada,
absolutely.
right?
We have to really look at it, right? The people who can afford to travel, they have a getaway. But there are so many millions and millions of people. They cannot even travel from here to Quebec
Yeah,
because like they can't afford the gas from here to there. Okay.
but we can
So
fly
here
from
we are
outside
talking about
India.
uh
We cannot go from Ontario to Quebec or Quebec to here, but we can come
correct.
from all the way from somewhere else, fly, take the flight, and come here.
That's right. Some are really blessed, have the resources, or like however they have earned and deserved, and they have the opportunity to go to those kind of places when it is too cold here. But there are still people who can't afford to get out of their own home. Here we have like people who don't have even home, forget about getting out of the home. So
Right.
there are still real issues on the ground, and that needs to be addressed. And before worrying about, can I go to Florida, can I go to Mexico, like here they can't even get out of the home, like they don't even have a home. Let's address the homelessness. Let's address like so many people like a veteran serve this country, like they are on the ground, they are on the road. What are we doing about that? This is our country. If we don't do it, who else going to do it?
Even sometime lot of like nowadays, a lot of students are also coming, right? So from overseas, and the rule says they have to be quarantined. They don't know where to go. So sometimes I get requests if you have contacts. So basically, I provide some information, and basically you will be surprised for 2 weeks quarantine. It's around close to $600 to $800. You can't leave the room. You can't even go to lobby. If you want
Yeah,
food, either somebody can deliver to you, or if you have a restaurant close by, they can deliver to you.
yeah, yeah. No, there are some practical issues, and I'm not blaming like any government. Like I have like a real subjects when it comes to where the government can be blamed. But right
Yeah.
now, like this is not something like we can blame anybody, because
Right.
everybody is trying their best. Everybody is really trying their best, because like nobody want to intentionally harm any citizen.
All right. Okay. On pandemic, my last question would be: what would be the first thing you would like to do once the pandemic is over?
uh, I would call, you know, many people like who are very close to me, they know, like when I have a get together, I get close to 300 to 400 people. That's a weekend
Okay.
party. Okay. Uh, so I will have a weekend party,
Okay.
just inviting my close friends, and that
Okay.
would be close to 300 to 400.
Okay.
So that's
All
the
right.
first thing I would do. Invite everybody, cook myself, like whatever I can, and
Yeah.
enjoy with close friends and family. That's the very first thing I would do. And
Mhm.
like take the extra food, whatever I have, like to the local food bank, and also like whoever needs, like those are all the things. Like it's a time for celebration with the family, friends, and also the people in the community who needs all the support. Like so, that's the very first thing I would do.
Would you like to travel anywhere after this social, after the social gathering thing? Do you want to go to somewhere?
Absolutely. There are so many things like, pending in my to-do list and waiting list. Uh, right now I'm trying to accomplish all the business stuff, and also through Zoom and through all the online.
Okay.
Uh, my family is happy, but I'm a old school. Okay, like I need to see people face to face, and no
Right.
matter how much we talk in Zoom, like
Right. Right.
it's okay. I need to shake hands. I need to give hugs.
Yeah.
I need to
Physical
see
aspect.
people, physical aspect. I need to see your body language. I need to see
Right.
like how you deliver. I need to see
Right.
your
Right.
heart through you in person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is killing me. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to get out.
Yeah. I think this is. I think it's something. Being an Indo-Canadian, probably we grew up that way, right? More socialized, more interaction. We don't believe too much into privacy and all that. So for people like us, it's a different experience. If you live in privacy, it's a different thing.
But the thing is, I don't think like it has anything to do with Indo heritage background. It is all
Mhm.
individual. Okay, like
Yeah.
I know people who live in this country for last 40 years, and
Mhm.
they don't have any friends. Okay,
No,
so they
yeah.
just go to work and come home, and as long as they pay the mortgage, they are happy. Even before they realize they retire, and their life is done. Okay, like
Mhm.
these are the people who moved from Middle East or India or like any South Asian countries. Like it is all the individuals. It has nothing to do with your heritage. It has nothing to do with your
Mhm.
uh, anything. It is all like what you want, what you like.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, moving on. So we are done with pandemic for now. I'll
Hmm.
go to the next important topic, which is the impact of social media.
Hmm.
So, currently on social media, we are seeing an increase in hate messages being posted. Do you think, in the name of freedom of speech, it is acceptable? Like for me, I'm seeing, based on my understanding, is a lot of people, right accusing left, left accusing right. Is all this partisan, and then you start going, from debating the actual issue, you start going personal, attacking, calling names and all that. So how do you think the social media should behave? One is the behavior aspect, and the other is the freedom of speech, right? A lot of people says freedom of speech, but I always believe, freedom of speech will be responsible, don't abuse and those kind of thing. So what do you take on that?
You know, normally I say like freedom of speech is as long as you are talking like what you have in your mind, it doesn't touch my nose, it's okay. The moment like it touch my nose, it's not your freedom of speech. Like
Yeah.
you are attacking me personally.
Yeah.
When you look at the bigger picture, you are right. The hate message has increased dramatically. The partisan has increased dramatically, and it is not something new. Like it is there for very long time, but the social media is capturing those moments. Okay, so only because of social media we get to see what you really have in your mind.
But it's also amplifying too, right? That's where it
It
is,
is
right?
amplifying.
Yeah.
The very first thing, like we cannot provide solution for the world problem. Let's
Yeah.
address like what is happening in our region, Waterloo region. Okay,
Yeah.
we lack entertainment. There are a lot of seniors in the community. They are very passionate about it. They are passionate about their city. They are passionate about their neighborhood. They are passionate about what they believe in, and rightfully so, because they born, brought up, they did anything and everything in this neighborhood. When you don't have much avenue to distract your focus, internet is free. $40, you get high speed internet.
Yeah.
And I know some people every day, like they wake up 8:30, uh, like an organization. They come online and they see and they wait for somebody to say one thing wrong, and then they go after them
Yeah.
until they disconnect themselves from social media. So what it is telling you? is like people don't have much entertainment. We need to focus. We need to have more areas like where we can engage the community, where we can get them feel like okay, they have many activities to do. Like that aspect is missing. We do not have other than shopping mall. Where do you really go? Money. Once you retire, okay, you don't want to go anywhere else. You just live in the region. What are the things like you have if you don't want to walk, if you don't have any other extracurricular activities to keep you fit, or like whatever like you believe in, your only entertainment is mall. The malls are closed now, so now the only entertainment is closed, so they all need like some place to vent, so they all come to social media and keep themselves busy from morning to night. Do you really think like they're enjoying it? They're not enjoying it either. So there are so many people like who are upset. It's not only the receiver end, the giving end as well. So we need to focus that energy towards some positivity,
Mhm.
because I strongly believe, I strongly believe, other than the First Nations, everybody in this country is an immigrant from somewhere or other. Whether you are first generation or fourth generation or 10th generation, it doesn't matter. So we all need to, understand our strengths. We all need to work together. We need to appreciate each other, and we need to find the positives of each other. It doesn't matter how you look. Like all of us have a heart. If you are doing anything bad to Canada, that's a different thing. As long as your intentions are right, you are taking care of whatever you need to do, and you respect and love and everybody. Just move on, because this is our home. Where else can you go? This is our home. We are building our future here. The reason why we came here is to help anybody and everybody in our community, and also to help ourselves to grow. So the hate is one thing I hate. That needs to stop. There is no
Mhm.
room for hate, not only in Waterloo region, across Canada, because like we are different, we are unique, and that is why like we are Canadians.
Okay, good. Uh, the last question on this topic is: do you think uh, the social media should be suspended 1 month before the election? Do you think that it'll help some sort of fake propaganda or false misleading news?
Money, the thing is this: just because some accident happens on 401, you cannot close 401.
Hmm.
Okay, so there needs to be some sort of monitoring. Like it starts from the leaders.
Hmm.
I don't belong to any party. Okay, like I'm not a card carrying member of any party. I'm
Hmm.
neutral. Whatever I did in the past, like those are different things, but
Hmm.
right now, right this moment, like I'm not a card carrying member of any political party.
Hmm.
These kind of awareness needs to come from the leadership. Okay, like when you send a fundraising message, what are you saying? Please donate $25. Please donate $50. I want to defeat Justin Trudeau. I
Hmm.
want to defeat like Erin O'Toole. Why? So the divisiveness is created by the leaders. It is created by the party headquarters. That needs to stop. Don't try to control the normal human being who are passionate about what they do. Try to control the leaders. That's where I will stop. Not with stopping 1 month before, right? So that's where like I would start. Like, all leaders need to grow up. They need to have the maturity. Don't raise money based on telling like I need money to defeat another party. You
Hmm.
need money because like you believe in something, and this is going to help you to execute something.
Hmm.
Talk in that fashion, right?
Hmm.
That is what we need. I don't think like limiting social media 1 month before the election, that is going to change anything. If you don't address the issue at the source, rest of it all first aid. So it needs to start from the leader.
But you're absolutely right, and I agree with you. But what I'm saying is the kind of scenario. So one example is the American scenario. So we expect the leaders. to behave and whatever it is, right? The right ways. But if the leader is not behaving properly and using the social media platform to inflame emotions, spreading fake messages, propaganda, whatever we want to say, in that case, should the social media do some sort of moderation? I know it's very hard, but I would say, because that's what happened in US,
No, no,
when
I agree. I agree. Okay, like
only in the exceptional scenario where the leader continues to spread bigotry, misleading, all those things, then somebody has to take. I don't even know, like, whether do we have a regulator here or not. We should have a social media regulator, in the sense, an independent organization that keeps a tab on what the social media messages are, who is creating fake accounts, who is sending all this abuse and all that. Right now, because here, the overall here in US, the whole system is, okay, let the market decide. But I always believe you can't leave everything to market. Now, of course, during the final phase of the election, we saw actions from Twitter and Facebook trying to suspend the account and all that, but that's proactive. But you have to think globally, that globally also a lot of other countries, you're seeing this pattern. So somebody has to take, either the social media company, or it has to be some sort of a digital regulatory body.
no. The thing is, like, it needs to be digital regulatory body. Okay,
Mm.
so in one of your posts, like you mentioned about China.
Yeah.
Now, China is using Twitter to do propaganda, whereas like a Twitter is banned in China, right? So as a normal person, like you cannot do or say like anything in Twitter, like in China, whereas like the Chinese government is using that to convey the message. Like why they are using that is for the people like who are Chinese heritage background living outside of China to know like what they are doing. So coming back to that question is like not five fingers are same. Okay, there is no school which is going to say like what do you need as a leader. There is no school for that. In democracy it doesn't matter whether you are qualified or not. They are democratically elected leader, not necessarily they are educated and they have the awareness of anything and everything what they do. Once you have the people support, even if you are a grade one dropout, like you could be the president of United States. That is the democracy, right? It is not based on your qualification. It is not based on your experience. It is based on how popular you are in the people, how many people vote for you, and then you become a leader. So once you become a leader, that is why like you need to surround yourself with people like who can provide you the wisdom what
Yeah.
is needed if you want to continue in that role.
Yeah,
And
correct.
if you don't surround yourself with people with wisdom, and if you don't listen to them, and still you want to do anything like 3 o'clock in the morning, and your term would be one term
Yeah.
that we have witnessed. So
Right.
it doesn't matter how good you are, whatever you do. But sometimes, because like people don't know, don't have access to you. The only way people get to know you is like what you say in social media.
Yeah.
So say
Sometimes it
responsibly.
happens, even my personal experience, sometimes the passion is totally different thing. Sometime when you're on the social
Yes.
media, you personally don't know that person, but when you know that person, then it's a different thing, right? You say,
Correct.
sometimes
Very true. Very true.
sometimes words don't translate to, the English, I always say, is a flat language. Sometimes you can't bring the emotion. It's a different style. Sometimes that's why I say,
Yeah.
instead of sending email, it's better to talk over the phone and explain, rather than sending an email
Yes.
and
Yes.
explaining, because the context can be totally different, right?
That is why like when at the local level it is possible, but when you're talking about like a national level, and we don't get to talk with the leader on a daily basis, right? So the only mode of communication is written, either
Right.
email or anything like that. And so the leaders need to act more responsibly,
Yeah.
and they need to understand why they became leader,
Yeah.
and why they wanted to run for leadership. And they are representing the people like the last person in their country, whether they have any awareness of anything or not, because like they are the role models. Like
Hmm.
who are we creating as role models for the next generation?
Mhm.
People are looking at those leadership, so they need to act more responsibly.
Mhm.
They need to know their role. So I think it needs to start from the leader, selecting the right leader for the party. It needs to
That's
start
the
from
other
there.
question. Who is the leader? You know, I think it all comes to people. You know what we want to see as a leader, right?
True, true. But
Mhm.
again, the
Yeah.
leadership once again getting selected only with the members of their own party,
Yeah.
right? The leaders are not getting selected based on the democratic outside of
Yeah.
their own party. If you are a member, you can vote to select your own leader. So there are
Yeah.
a lot of things need to be discussed, and
Yeah.
uh, money with your passion and my passion, like even
Yeah.
24 hours not enough. So let's move
Yeah.
on to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So just being mindful of your time. So we have 45 minutes. So I think we should be able to cover in 15 minutes. So I'm going to club the national and provincial questions. So I would like to ask you, what's your take on Trudeau government so far? Same thing applies for the Duckford government. And how would you rate them? So 1 to 10. 1 means not good at all. 10 means really good. And the other thing I want to ask on the political front is, I see on the liberal side, I see a lot of youth are being encouraged to join the party. I see a lot of, even on the Bhardish Sagar is also working on that one, engaging youth and all that. I personally don't see, at least visibly, I don't see that happening in Conservative Party. So probably you can start with the rating. How do you want to rate Trudeau? What are the good things the Prime Minister did, and what are the things we could have done differently? The same thing for Duckford government.
Okay, it's a very interesting question. Like it is joining with the leadership what we were talking just now. So this is the next question, directly talking about the leaders. My take, there were a lot of hopes, like when Prime Minister Trudeau took over the office with a lot of changes, a lot of things. I think like the first term, it continued. I think somewhere along the line during the second term, it started lagging. Okay, I do not see the same amount of enthusiasm or anything. There is a lag between the first term and the second term. In what ways is, as I said, like we still have we are gifted, like our population is only 38 million, and we can do like quite significant amount of things to eliminate from homelessness to taking care of the veterans to so many aspects of it, like Canadians who paid their taxes from age 19 until they retire and they serve for this country. And once they become seniors, I'm yet to see quite a lot of passion. I want to see the same passion, same, the care, same love, the same everything to be given to Canadians as much as we are doing for people outside of Canada.
But
That I see like a lagging.
I feel it's they're exhausted. I think one is they don't have break. They are on the mic every day. Fighting. My opinion is there should be, at least during pandemic, there should be two leadership. So the in the second phase, another leadership takes over. The first leader acts as advisor, and you come up with fresh new ideas. It's just like you working continuously for 6 months. Your brain doesn't work. You're frustrated. You should look at it.
No,
Yeah.
you know what, Money? When you are talking about it, the stress is not new for leadership candidates. Once you are a leader, you are exposed to that stress all the time. Okay, that is one of the qualities as a leader: the conflict management, the stress management, how you are handling stress at the different scenarios. These are all the leadership qualities. Okay, when you don't have any problem, you just have to jump in a train, it is operating by itself. It is not an autopilot mode. So your leadership qualities comes out like more stress, like more challenges, like coming your way. And if you consider that as stressed out, and they are not a grade 5 students, like they are leaders. They are doing what is needed for the country. I think like they can take more, like the leaders can take more. They are good at conflict management, to stress management, to people management, to strategies, to all those kind of stuff. You cannot become a leader overnight. And so from all that, I will not agree with you on there is a need for somebody else to. It's not a relay race. Okay, like once you are a leader, you are a leader. When you cannot do it, accept it and say like I'm stressed out, like I need a break. You need to say that, and then never ever plan to run for leadership again because you cannot handle the stress.
Yeah, but that isn't that a perfect scenario where, like you said, we are expecting leader to do. But that's my whole thing.
But the
What
thing
did you?
is, like, look at the small business. Okay, look at the small business.
Mhm,
They have a lot of stress. They have ends to meet.
mhm.
Right now, every entrepreneur on the ground is doing whatever they can in their own capacity. They don't have an option. Like, okay, you know what? I'm stressed out. Okay, can you run this for 6 months? Like, they don't have an option. So the leaders shouldn't bail out. Like challenges are not new. You are a
Yeah.
leader. Rise up. Like, put your chin up. Nothing is new. Let's face it. Let's get it done for Canadians, for Canada. So this is the time they need to rise the public above the ground and say, like, I am here for you. Don't worry about it. It's not like having a sad face, like, the whole country is down and what can I do?
So
Anybody can do that. Like, why are you a leader if you're going to pull everybody down? Bring them up, spread some positivity, spread some love. Say, like,
mm.
we are going to be the superpower. We can do it. That's
So
what
how do
needed
you
now.
want to rate the prime minister and the premier 1 to 10?
Prime Minister, during a pandemic, like before pandemic, I would say five.
Hmm.
Okay. After pandemic, also same five.
Hmm.
There are certain things like he could have scored big. I would have given him 7 or 8.
Hmm.
I'm not going to give him 7 or 8 because many people told, shut the airport. That is where like we are getting people from all over the world.
Right.
It's not only Canadians coming home. There are visitors coming here. There are
Right.
tourist people coming here. Like some people, like they cannot get their mom, but some people coming here to visit Canada during this time. So I see like inconsistency. There is no one law applicable to all. If you are lucky, you can come to Canada. It doesn't matter whether you are Canadian, tourist, or parent, or grandfather,
Hmm.
anybody. So I do not see the consistency. When people were talking about it from since March 2020, like we need to do something. If I'm going to ask you in a social media money, have you ever driven more than the specified speed limit in any of the Ontario highways? Nobody going to say like I did. One time I did 60 kilometers above, one time I did 100 kilometers
Right.
above. Nobody going to say that. So when somebody is arriving at the airport, like, okay, are you going to quarantine yourself? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. They know if you say like I'm not going to quarantine myself, you're not going to be allowed in the country. So what are the tracking mechanism? Like I was talking about it back in March. I was talking about it back in November. And today we are talking about we are heightening the travel restrictions for the people coming down here. So when you are shutting down the country, when you are paying like billions of dollars to everybody, you are still keeping the dam like open. You are still getting people with COVID positive.
So this is
Where is
what
the
I'm
stop?
hearing.
So because of that, I will not give 7. I will still continue to give 5 because, like, yes, it is handled very well. I have a lot of appreciation for the money, like what was given to individuals who were suffering. There were a lot of passion, there were a lot of love, there were a lot of care, and it was happening like immediately. And I have like tick mark for everything like which was done from the heart. Okay, from the
Mm.
heart alone, it doesn't matter. You need to have a solution. How are we
Yeah.
going to make up these billions of dollars like what we have spent right now? Is it for somebody else in the future to take care of it? You
Yeah.
spend, no problem, but give us a solution as well. I'm spending $1 billion. This is how I'm going to generate the $1 billion. Give me both. Like when you are only spending and without a plan for increasing the revenue, Anybody can do that. A grade one student can do that.
I'm trying to find where the $1 billion went for vaccination last year, because that was the announcement made by Trudeau government, $1 billion, and we
No,
didn't even make a made in Canada vaccination.
the thing is this, right? Once the election is over, I do not see them as a liberal government or conservative government.
Yeah.
Okay, they are the government and they are the leaders. I accept them as a leader and I expect them to perform the best. Okay, once the next election comes, let's talk about what you have done, what you haven't done. During the governance period, there is no partisan politics. Whether it is Doug Ford, whether it is Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Let's talk about governance. Let's talk about responsible spending. Let's talk about okay, I have no problem giving money. Let's find a way. There are so many ways, and you are not listening to stop the airport, to stop like more parameters there, to raise like more money. What is needed to help the Canadians? Like if we make $10, we can spend $6 in Canada, spend $4 outside of Canada. Why you want to spend $9 outside of Canada?
Yeah.
Then run
Uh,
for United Nations presidency. Don't run for Prime Minister of Canada.
yeah. I think they want, they want to project themselves by being nice, right? For me, the other thing
No, it's
is that,
okay. Nice is okay. Nice is okay. Like, I have $10 in my pocket. I can give $10 out to anybody. I'm a nice man.
Mhm.
That $10 in my pocket is not my $10. It is your money.
That is the thing.
Who
That's
am
my
I
whole
to
point.
give $10 to somebody else?
Yeah, yeah. The other thing I don't
In your own money.
understand,
Nobody can question you.
the other thing I don't understand, like you said, okay, we shut down the airport. Like right now, it's very hard for Ontarians to go to Quebec and people from Quebec to come here, but it's easy for somebody overseas to fly all the way here.
No, the thing is this, right? Like that is very true. That is very, very true. And it has nothing to do with the leadership. And it has to do more with people like who are providing the advisory to him as well, right? It doesn't matter how many times he says no. The advisors need to continue to knock the door, like Mr. Prime Minister. This is what like happening. So they need to provide the advisory what is needed. It is
Okay.
not like saying yes to everything whatever he says. Like then you are taking him in the wrong path. You are not helping him at all. So I would blame the advisors. I would not blame the leaders. I would not blame the prime minister. That is why they are surrounded with advisors. It is their job to make sure
But
properly
if you say
explaining to the
anything
leader.
against, you'll be kicked out. Duckford is another example of that, right? That's the other thing. Everybody wants to retain their job.
No, the thing is like, that is where, like if you are working for a job, if you are working as a passion, okay, there are some people who don't care about money. Okay, they trust, they love the country, they love the province. Like if you don't want to listen to me, it's okay. I can get any job. I can get a job in Tim Hortons. I can make $15 per hour and do
Mhm.
what I want to do. So if you are after money, do not go to Queen's Park. Do
But
not
I
go
see
to
very few
Parliament.
people in that
Stay home.
way. I see very few people that way, right? Who believe in principles, and it's just about yes sir, yes sir, yes ma'am, right?
That is the problem. Like like we can change that. And the new generation, what is coming? Like I see a quite significant. The new generation are not like that. Like they are not afraid to say what they feel because like they are confident. They have self-respect. They don't worry about the job, like because they know they can survive. It is
Yeah.
not the money, right? When you are passionate about the country and you need to provide the proper advice and you need to direct your boss, your leader in the right direction.
Okay, so Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister, you want to rate what? 5 out of 10?
I would say 5 out of 10. Yes.
Okay, what about Duckford?
That Ford. Okay, it is very interesting. Before pandemic, I would give him like a 7.
Mhm.
Okay, because whatever the election promise were, and he was focusing on that, and the whole team was focusing only on progress of the province. And obviously, during the pandemic, like the rest of the stuff cannot be focused because like the entire focus is on getting out of the current situation. There are stuff like in his control. There are stuff like not in his control. For example, we got like only 1 million supply for the vaccination, right? And out of 1 million, we already administered like a 70% of it. So the
Right.
problem is not on the that, rather the
True.
problem is on the supply. So
I
from
agree.
that, like there are limited limitations on what he could do, what he cannot do, and all that.
Correct.
And once again, the airport is not in his control. Like airport
Correct.
is federal jurisdiction. Like he couldn't do
I agree.
anything there. And coming to they call it, I call it like a round robin. Okay, round robin. There is a game called round robin. What that means is like, shut Waterloo region, open Peel region. 15 days later, shut Peel region, open Waterloo region.
Ping pong.
What are we talking about? Like we are in same province. If you want to shut, like shut the whole province for next 3 weeks, like why are you picking and choosing based on that? Like, when you talk about Brampton, people, transportation is the biggest strength of Brampton. And the
Yeah.
people are living there, but going across the province. And that is why, like, we get our grocery, right? All the people are risking their life from Brampton to supply anything and everything. When you shut Brampton and open Waterloo, when you shut Waterloo, open Niagara Falls, and then Hamilton open. So it's like a Canadian weather. You don't know what to dress for in the morning. You wake up, okay, are we closed? Are we open?
Okay.
That's what like I don't like about the what Duckford has done. But other than the lockout measures, but the rest of the stuff, like I think like he is honest, he is open, he is coming to media on a daily basis, and he is talking and explaining and doing like whatever he can. So as a provincial, before pandemic, like I would give him 7, but right now I will give him 6. The
Okay.
mainly the main reason why I dropped it down to 6 is because the way how the lockdown are handled,
Agreed.
and
Agreed.
how it has affected the small business entrepreneurs and also many people who lost their job. My heart goes out to each one of them. I'm sorry, but we
Yeah.
will be out of this soon.
I think it's a fair assessment. I agree with that. Duckford initially, I was expecting there'll be big fight between Trudeau and Duckford, but plus, things didn't go that direction. It was good.
That is the great thing, right? Like as a leader, it is not the partisan politics. When our citizens need help, like every government need to work hand in hand. Politics need to come into picture only during election. Once election is over, like you are an elected representative, I don't care like which party you belong to. You are my representative, and I may expect you 110% because we want to keep you much higher level. That is why you are representing me.
Okay, I have one more question on this leadership question. It's about the youth, but I'm just thinking I'll just go straight into municipal. Just being
Now
mindful of
I'll
you.
I'll
Or you
give
have
you like a
time?
30-second speech on that
Sure,
youth
sure,
thing because like
sure.
the main issue is this: liberals are in very comfortable position. Okay, have you seen any of the local MPs talking anything other than forwarding? This is today is International Day. That one is that day. This one is this day. Let's talk about pandemic. What are you talking about pandemic? You are not
Exactly.
only a minister of something else, like you are a local representative. Talk
Yeah,
to us about like what the federal government is doing. All
correct.
the MPs are gone. Nobody's talking about anything other than like a forward message. Are you getting
Exactly.
$250,000 for forwarding a message? I can
Correct.
outsource this for $5,000. Somebody in China or India to forward messages. I
No,
expect
bang
my
on. I
MP to do
agree.
much more than that.
Yeah, yeah. Totally agree.
Coming back to that, you are doing a phenomenal job. There is no doubt about it. Like you are doing to make sure, like you are not upsetting the cart. You are doing the mediation between Ottawa and the local constituency. You are acting very mature, not to say anything wrong, and make sure like you are still in the good books. I understand that. I understand that. However, I expect a little bit more, especially during this time, right? So coming back to youth leadership or a youth engagement, Conservative Party is not settled. Okay, they went through quite a lot from Andrew to Peter McKay, trying to get there to Erin O'Toole to what is happening with current situation. And so they are not settled. They never had a moment in the last 4 years to
That is
settle.
true.
So when you are not settled, you want to form your group first before engaging the youth. So unfortunately, I don't think like they never had a dull moment in the last 3 years. First, they need to settle themselves before they focus on majority of things. But nothing stops because of other things. Like that is where the local MPs and the local politician need to play a role. Money,
But there's
have
the
you
same
noticed?
thing with the liberals, right? The liberals were not settled. All these scams were coming, but still
No,
somebody.
no, they are not settled, but still they are in power. Okay.
Mhm.
Have you seen any local MP saying like this scandal is true?
Why would they
This is
say
for
they
real.
lose a job? Why would they say that?
So nobody objected that. Nobody wanted to talk about it, like whether it is true or false, or like I don't want to comment about it. There was no a real explanation on anything. So I wouldn't call like they are not settled. They are well settled. When you look at the poll numbers, they are well settled. So they are assigned to focus on future voters. They are assigned to focus on increasing the vote bank. So that is why their focus is more on the youth, whereas the Conservative Party is not settled. They they don't even know like who is in their group yet. So so that is the problem. So that first need to settle down and then like talk about the future vote bank. But that's where my problem is, money. It doesn't matter. People need to step up and do what they have to do, whether it is election or not. Majority of the candidates, they don't pop up, they don't get involved in local issues, they don't talk about anything. The moment like they announce the election, like then you will see their family pictures, you will see like they are in food bank, they are in with the regional water police, and like with Rotary Club, everywhere like there is a selfie. Why are
Strategic.
you doing that only for 90 days before the election? We expect you to do that whether you run or not throughout. If you are really passionate about it, get on ground and do like what you really want to do. Don't do that only during election, because like this is a developed country. Don't change this like some other undeveloped country. This is the pattern of undeveloped country. Canada is a developed country. Stand as an example. Do what you are good at. If you are really passionate about it, throughout the season, not only during election season. That's what we expect of you.
No, that's a
Or
good message. I
don't
agree.
run for politics. Do not come to political life.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we are just past 7 minutes an hour. So I will come to the last topic, which is the municipal. So I'll
Yes.
basically combine three questions together. The first question I have is, you must have heard about the city of Waterloo. Recently, there was a petition call for the city of Waterloo to allow backyard fires. What's your take on this? Should the city allow, since other cities allow it and it is also safe? And overall, do you think we should have uniform bylaw in Waterloo region? Okay. The last one, I didn't have it in agenda, but since it was already there in television and media, you can talk about the hotel demolition in Cambridge. We can talk about that at the end. But let's go with the backyard fire and the bylaw. I strongly believe we should have a uniform bylaw throughout three cities here. What's your take?
Thanks, Mani. My very first take on that is, I will address the backyard fire. But before that, what is the population of Waterloo region? 600,000. Seven municipalities, 600,000 population. We have over 50 politicians. Why? And majority of the councillors are part-time. Why? I believe we need to reduce number of people and we need to make them full-time, so that like the responsibility and accountability is much higher. And we need to have a uniform bylaw for all seven, right? It's not only three, because whenever people talk about it, it is a real blessing if they consider Cambridge as part of the region. They normally talk like Kitchener Waterloo, Kitchener Waterloo, Kitchener Waterloo.
Mhm.
I'm happy you are considering Cambridge as part of the region, so thank you. And it's not only Cambridge, Kitchener, and Waterloo. We
Any
have
other
seven
Melbourne?
municipalities.
Municipalities, yeah.
right? So all seven of them need to have a uniform bylaw. And also, like what I believe in regional council, if you really look at it, Cambridge has like a three regional council. If anything happening in Cambridge, with the number of regional council vote like you need, I don't even know how many regional council outside of these three have ever visited Cambridge. You know,
Mhm.
the onerous responsibility of voting yes or no involves the councillors outside of Cambridge as well.
Yeah.
So when you don't know like where Cambridge is, it's somewhere down the line, like somewhere south, like near the 401. That mentality needs to change. And we need more representation for Cambridge in the region of Waterloo. And we need to reduce number of politicians. We need to increase their timing, and also we need to increase their responsibility. We need to increase their pay, and we need to have a uniform bylaw. And all that what I'm saying, probably it might sound like amalgamation, but I'm not talking about amalgamation. Like I'm talking about more responsibility for less number of people, so that like there is a fair share for all seven municipalities. What is happening in North Dumfries is determined by all the people in region of Waterloo. How many representation we have for region of North Dumfries? How many representation like we have for other counties? Like they are dependent on majority of the votes, like what is happening with the other regional councillors. So there needs to be a fair representation. There needs to be less politicians. They need to be full time. They need to be paid more. What can you do today with the $40,000? Once you become a councillor, your earning is $40,000 part time, and you are expected to be in a very high standard. You cannot talk to media. You cannot do this. You cannot do that, and there are so many restrictions. So I will not be surprised. Majority of the wards is going to be selected unanimously because people don't want to run anymore.
Mhm.
The attractiveness is not there anymore. And here we are talking about 600,000 people for the entire region of Waterloo. Brampton, 600,000 people. Okay, it is a city. It is not a region.
Yeah.
When Brampton can operate effectively as a city, why we have region of Waterloo with the same number of people with over 50 politicians? How is it different here than in Brampton?
It's
Isn't it
like
operated very effectively over there?
I think the way they did the capacity planning is like 20 years, 30 years early, they hired more politicians, thinking the population will grow.
Yeah, but it is growing. Like now, like many people are moving from GTA, and that is why, like the real estate market, when you look at it, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge have like extensive people coming from GTA to this part, and the population going to grow like much more. So we need to be prepared, and we need to be ready. I think like we need to eliminate part-time counselors, and we need to make them full-time, and we need to reduce number of counselors.
Yeah, I strongly agree.
And the backyard fire, like like here, as long as it is done properly, we need to have proper protocols, like how you can do, how you cannot do, like as Mr. Baxter was mentioning yesterday in your live. There needs to be a fire extinguisher, and available of water nearby, and as long as it is not like a too uh, not like like how you do bogey in India, or like even some of the stuff, like it needs to be contained, and it needs to be safe. It needs to be proper, and a special protocol needs to be issued. I'm sure, like staff and also mayors and the regional chair and the councillors all are capable to come out with the law, which is uniform across the region, so that like still they can enjoy, and also safety is not compromised. I
Yeah.
think like there needs to be a balance between these two.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. If you have fire extinguisher, you don't have to worry.
Yeah, and then like like then that needs to be checked. Like when was the last time like it was inspected, and there
Yeah.
are so many other things like involved with it.
I think sometimes we are just overprotective. Sometimes I think overall the city and everything, they're too much. Probably they're worried about liability. I don't know. They're overprotective. Sometimes it's a normal thing. Fire pit. If one city allows, not the other doesn't. I think one of the logic they gave is Waterloo has more students. What does that mean? They're going to burn the house or what? Like, there's no.
No, actually, you know what? Like it has happened in the past, Mani.
Of
Like
course, yeah.
even with a cigarette butt, right? Like when it is not properly extinguished, like there are cases like the house burned down. Forget about an open fire. Just with the a cigarette butt, like the whole thing has burnt down. But the thing is, the overprotective is okay. That is only saving us, but it cannot, take away like basic things. As long
Yeah,
as you have proper protection, like you should be
correct.
allowed to do like what you enjoy the most. And many people I heard like in social media was saying like when you have nothing else going on, just have a fire and peacefully sit in front of it. Like it gives. Uh, but I want to tell the politicians in the region, if you want less hate message, allow people to enjoy their life more. Don't
Yeah,
protect us like a kid,
yeah,
but give us the restriction, but allow us to enjoy life a little bit more, so that people will have more things to do, less time to come on social media to jump on you.
yeah. Allow people to spend more time outside.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, the last topic is you want to talk about the hotel demolition. Like, based on my experience, I usually pass through that place, and I always like the design of that hotel. Right, I don't know what was going inside, and how old all those things, but I like the design. I don't know. I felt that it should have been preserved or somehow the other way. What's your take on that? What is the whole thing? Yeah.
uh, it's a long story. Okay, like it's 130 years of history, and whatever happened, like if the CBO, the chief building officer, feels like it is not safe, there is no argument. Like
Yeah.
when he says like it is not safe, like that needs to come down, because who is going to take responsibility if somebody
Right.
goes there and it falls apart and all that? So I
Yeah.
respect CBO. There is no doubt about it. My problem is this: when you have an issue going on for 20 years and you come out with an idea December 23rd, and sending that across to the council, and then 24th the boots on the ground to demolish it. You waited like 30 years. You couldn't wait a little bit more? Like my problem is the transparency, the
Yeah.
communication, and the openness of demolishing that building. I don't have a problem with the demolishing of the building itself, because always the region or the city can say to the developer, people are don't want to lose the sight of like how it has been standing there for last 130 years. Please make sure in your development plan the front is a replica of like how it was looking before. Use like whatever you can from the demolition, and give a look, like the visual aesthetic look of how it was, and then do like whatever you want to do on top of it. So it is all communication. It is all conflict resolution. It is all like how you are going to have everybody involved, bring everybody on door, in one platform.
So,
If
what's your source?
anything happens in
They did though.
closed door,
What's your
sorry,
source telling why they did it all of a sudden?
that's a mystery. So we have something coming up on the 28th, and I believe like a CBO going to provide a report on like what happened, and all that. But my question is, uh, I'm not upset with bringing the building down, because like I respect professionalism. I respect the CBO, his decision. My problem is like, what is there to hide? Why? All it has to happen is like, the second week of December, say like, okay, this is the problem. We are going to build this, bring this down, and we are going to coordinate with the developer and tell him like, okay, this is the how like he needs to develop in the future if he wants to. So he promised to do that. So everything is cool. So people are not upset, majority of them are bringing it down. The people are upset because like not retaining the heritage value of the building. You can retain like some structures, some wood,
Correct.
some symbols. Ask the developer to incorporate that in the new design, so that like we are not losing the heritage. So there are too many things in that money. Like I can talk about that for at least 2 hours.
Some other
And
time.
it's a very big topic. Like you just inserted it before end of it. But the thing is, like, the reality is this. Let's wait and see what happens on the 28th. Okay, there are a lot of things like happening as well. Like we will get like more. So I see this more like a communication issue. I see this more like transparency and openness and taking things for granted than anything mal, anything illegal happened. Okay, my take on this is like it's a transparency, openness, and accountability and responsibility issue than anything else. That's my take on it.
Okay, thank you. So probably I think we decided that we're going to talk for 1 hour. We are so passionate. We are almost 80 minutes now. Isn't that good? Right?
When you
No
first
time
asked,
limit.
like,
No time.
Prakash, like 30 minutes, I know. But I just want to provide a disclaimer here. Like, this discussion is basically between Mani Nair and Prakash on behalf of Namaste Debate, and it has nothing to do with anybody or attacking or anything. This is an open communication. What goes through our mind, because like Mani and also myself, we both are very passionate. Sometimes, like, we talk our heart. That is our positive. That is our negative as well. However you want to take it, have a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. So Prakash, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that. I agree. What you said. We will continue to work on a lot of things. Express our
Yes,
view, and that's the beauty of democracy. Being
yes,
respectful.
absolutely. We have too many things to achieve. We have too little time, and it is our responsibility to make sure like we have the right people in the as elected officials, and they do like what is good for the people. It is not only what is good for them; rather, they need to start thinking about what is good for people.
Sure.
And anybody who wants to run future, get to the ground and start doing what is in your mind. Don't pop up only during election. Let us know whether you have any intention to run for political office. I don't. I have no intention, aspiration to run for any political office. If you do, get on the ground and start taking care of people you love. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Prakash. I really appreciate your time, and I just wanted to say thanks again, and we'll talk on some other topic some other time. Really appreciate it.
Anytime. Anytime, money. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.